This week on the Jock and Nerd podcast, we got a full spoiler review of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Geek boner.
Plus, updates on Phase 5 and the future of the MCU from the head AI robot in charge. All that and more in this edition of the Jock and Nerd Weekly for Monday, February 20th, 2023.
Hi, this is Gilbert Gottfried, and you're listening to the Jock and Nerd podcast. Why? I don't know.
Check one. All right, this is for all you fans out there. Let's give it up.
Jock it, we nerd it. We funny, disturb it. We jock it, we nerd it. We spoiler alert. Oh yeah!
Yeah, hi, old listener. How you doing? What's up? Welcome to the Jock and Nerd podcast, where we give you comic book and superhero TV and movie news, reviews, and whatever we choose. Jock and Nerd. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
And he's the nerd.
Also joining us, a dude with a big giant head and small baby arms and legs. We call him Modork, but you can call him Rug Boy.
No dick.
So lame.
Lame.
We call him No Dick.
Yeah. Modork. Yeah, I like it.
That came to me like just minutes before. I was like, oh, it writes itself. How's everybody doing? Welcome. We got a lot of great stuff to geek out about this week. All Marvel talk this week, all MCU talk. Let's get started.
The Jock and Nerd podcast.
You saw the title. We are going to review the newest MCU movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, later in the second half of the show. But to begin, in our new segment, I wanted to discuss this lengthy Entertainment Weekly interview with the one Kevin Feige. Feige? Whatever his name is.
The computer or the actual
The
person?
AI, I don't know. It's a good, is that two
Okay.
different people? I don't know. Have we seen them? It's possible. Lot of interesting information given about Phase 5, but also a lot of kind of weird and vague answers too. So it was a very interesting read. Did you guys read any of this? Or
No.
I did, yes.
Oh, you did. Anthony did. Okay.
Yes.
Let's start with the state of the Disney Plus shows, and specifically the production of the shows and the amount of shows they've given us. As we all know, we just went through Phase 4, and it had 19 things. More content in Phase 4 than like the first 3 phases combined. Rapid
Is
fire.
that 19, really?
Something, some kind of crazy number like that.
Wow.
In,
I'll count it real quick while you
in
talk.
about a year and a half. And wow, it was a lot. It was a lot. It kept coming. So Feige has mentioned that they are going to slow down the production and space them out and do fewer shows. Here's his quote from the interview. Quote, "I do think one of the powerful aspects of being at Marvel Studios is having these films and shows hit the zeitgeist. It's harder to hit the zeitgeist when there's so much product out there, so much content. But we want Marvel Studios and the MCU projects to really stand out. So people will see that as we get further. 18 things.
If you count I Am Groot, I'm
That's
counting
a lot.
Wow, that's
That's a lot.
great.
He says people will see that as we get further into Phase 5 and 6, the pace at which we're putting out the Disney Plus shows will change so they can each get a chance to shine. I think this is smart. I'm all in. I agree with this.
That paragraph has something where he says something, the quiet part out loud,
Yes.
which is he says he doesn't like the word content, but would rather use the word product.
That is interesting. So what is it? Like, content is a better word than product, I would think.
Product is so much of a cold corporate word.
Yeah. So how corporate-y is he getting? And I think this is also part of like Bob Iger coming back and trying to cut costs. But look, with 18 things out, I wanted to rewatch a lot of these things, and it's just like I have a hard time finding the time. There's so much shit, and I feel like the shows and the movies didn't get a chance to breathe, and probably making it less special. Do you think this is a good move moving forward, Anthony?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think what happened here was Disney Plus and Bob Chapek and Bob Iger a little bit too got a little ahead of themselves in terms of they needed to fill content for Disney Plus, and they kind of pushed Marvel to just greenlight every show possible.
Yeah.
and thought that the opportunity to have a Marvel thing on almost every week would be good for weekly conversation, when in fact it kind of just flooded the market so much that nothing was impacting as much. So I agree. I think this is the right move. Hopefully they stick to it. Right now, all I'm seeing as far as Disney shows is Secret Invasion and Loki. Potential.
I think that's probably the only two shows we're going to get this year. And
they might do Agatha Covenant of Chaos in late 2023, but everything else is a TBD right now.
Yeah,
so.
No, they shouldn't. They should push that back. We are getting 3 movies, right? So that's 5 things. I think 4 to 5 things spread out over the year is a perfect pace. And not
even 6. I would go with 6.
Maybe 6, but clearly not 18 in a year and a half. Like, there's no way Feige was supervising all the shit coming out, right? You're going to lose some of the overlook and the supervision. Is that a word? From Feige.
Supervision.
Well, they need quality control. That's the operative word, is that there's too many things to manage and it gets away from you and you can't really have your hand in it as much. So if you're looking to create a cohesive world where everything kind of rhymes, it's not going to happen if you have too much stuff.
Yep.
So, as far as 5 or 6 things a year, I think that's more than reasonable. But the thing is that they tried to do too many individual short projects instead of, let's say they did a longer series like that with more episodes. That you can do one series, let's say, because all you really need, like if you see HBO with Game of Thrones, like you just need a 1 or 2 really good series that like you have Game of Thrones throughout the fall, and then in the winter you had The Last of Us, all of the winter,
so it's like 1 every other season.
Yeah, so it's like if you could do something that isn't over in like 2 months, that'd be good.
Yeah, I agree. I think to add on to that, and we've said this before, but I think it bears repeating. I don't think 6 episodes was the right amount in terms of if you're going to do hour long, because
that's too short. Yeah,
it was either too short or just like stretched out, and then like the same problem I kept seeing for a lot of shows was it started off nice, like the first couple episodes would be all right, the middle would just kind of meander a bit, or drag into stuff, and then the finale they'd rush right through the finale.
Yep, that happened.
And they kept doing that over and over, and it just was like 6. They just haven't figured out that 6 was just either a long movie or like a show. I think like I don't know if more episodes, but I think like 9 or 10 is the sweet spot if you're doing hours.
Yeah.
The only show that I felt was really paced well up until the end was WandaVision, but that was a unique show because they patterned it off of old TV sitcoms.
Right.
So it had like a formula that it could kind of follow a little bit.
They could do. All the stuff you guys are saying is correct. And I really think, I think they see the issues. I think the TV side of things really caught them off guard and kind of messed with them a little bit. And there was the pandemic and the scheduling and trying to figure out the rhythm. I think 8 to 10 episodes is probably perfect. And speaking of like,
Well, what's crazy though, just real quick, is I think Secret Invasion is 6, but then they're jumping eventually in 2024 to Daredevil and going to 18. So they're like taking the lessons they're learning and going, okay, we'll just triple it, which I don't know if 18 is the right amount either.
How many was Andor?
10, I believe.
9 or 10, right?
Yeah. Like Last of Us is going to be 9. The Game of Thrones are usually 10, and that's enough.
10, yeah.
So speaking of Daredevil, it leads in right into the next bullet point in this article is he talks about the Daredevil show and how
Andor was 12.
Oh, Andor was 12. That's right. It was 6, and then but Andor was brilliant.
They were doing 3 blocks of 3 or 4, right?
That's a good idea because then the stories that kind of resolve in those arcs, and then you can get into the next.
Yes, this is my next point. Is like episodic TV writing is not the same as doing a movie or just an 8-hour movie, and I think we're going to see that in Daredevil: Born Again. He has said this show, he wants it to be more episodic. Here's his quote. He says, "We want to do shows that can only be shows. I want to continue to make them even more episodic, which may seem counterintuitive, but I do think there's something fun about leaning back and watching an episode that can be relatively self-contained." I love this because every episode should have a beginning, middle, and end, a 3-episode arc. And then there should be like an overarching thing. And I think Andor is a great template to use, or an 18 episode Daredevil board again. You could do these one-off stories, exploring Daredevil's character and Hell's Kitchen and other things that kind of stand alone. So it's exciting that I think they see all the issues and they're slowly going to be fixing them. But to jump from 6 to 18, that may also cause some issues. They should have just started a little smaller, maybe.
Yeah, 18's a little. I was thinking maybe 13, but
you were just saying do something that lasts more than 2 months. Here we go. They're going to give it to us.
I completely agree in that with what he's saying and what you're stating, in that it has to feel like it should be on TV. And a lot of those shows that were 6 episodes just felt like this could have been a movie.
Absolutely.
Or this could have been like a special. A lot of them just didn't feel like they needed to be on
And then
TV.
the ones that felt like a movie felt padded out and there was filler stuff when it was unnecessary. Right. But episodic TV show writing is different. It's different. They're going to get there. Maybe She-Hulk gets the closest in terms of wrapping up the episode, but even that I don't know.
Oh, She-Hulk had his own. She-Hulk
that had different problems.
That had a different problem. Yes. That had just bad choices.
But it's alarming that I'm sitting here right now saying this was too much, Marvel. I'm all give me more. But then looking back, I'm like, I think it may have been too much. I think it could have been spread out. I wanted to savor these things.
I just think that the level of talent that of people that are working there are being given these projects, they seem to not be like the best of the best. They seem to be like these, people who are really just directing. The directors usually have the most experience, and the writers and all the other people that are working on these things, they seem like this is their first time doing comic book stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it's been nice. I'll say this: it's been nice to have this break from Marvel TV shows.
Yeah.
What's been 2 months? It feels really nice to not have to jump into a Marvel show and let there not be any Marvel for just a little bit.
Yes.
Obviously, we're talking about a movie in a bit, but it's just been nice to not have to think about Marvel. And I completely agree. I would have 2 years ago. I'd be like, give me more.
Give me
all of it.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, it's nice to have this break.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's scarcity. It makes it more special when you give it a little room to breathe. And I think they've learned that lesson. Okay, moving on.
But when's the last time you cracked open Disney Plus? You haven't. Not even for Star Wars or anything.
Yeah, I mean,
Andor.
I've been watching the Bad Batch here and there, but then I kind of I forgot about it. I got to catch up. But yeah, Andor was the last thing. Mando starting soon, so March 1st, be back on there. But the breathing room is nice. Okay, the next thing, let's talk about mutants. Everybody wants to know about mutants. Where are they? When are they coming? He has admitted they've said the word mutant twice, citing that Namor is a mutant, and Kamala Khan says the word mutation. Here's what he says. He says, quote, "But part of the fun is that I've been at this company for half my life, and we're just now tapping into arguably one of the biggest aspects of the publishing history, meaning the X-Men. It's pretty remarkable. It's a testament to the house of ideas and what Marvel has been doing for 80 years. The question is how to do it and when to do it, and that's something we've been working on for years. We know, but we're not going to talk about it." So that's all he had to say, but you could speculate maybe Secret Wars brings in mutants. Maybe the Eternal sequel, whenever that gets made, brings in mutants. It's definitely going to be like a Phase 7 thing. He also did confirm Hugh Jackman is returning to Deadpool for Deadpool 3, and he did confirm it is going to be their first R-rated movie. And then I read this other thing. Patrick Stewart was told to stand by as Xavier for Deadpool 3, so maybe they pull him back from whatever universe he didn't die in or something. I don't know. But it's exciting. They're making R-rated Deadpool, and we're getting that guy, and we're getting Hugh Jackman back. I think that's enough for now. What do you guys think? Does he have a plan for the mutants? Is it going to work? He probably does.
I'm sure he has a plan for the mutants. It's not. I don't know exactly how they're going to integrate. There are pathways with this Kang thing, possibly. There are pathways with the, the whole Spider-Man thing with the different worlds. We've seen it in Scarlet with the Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange. There's all these different parallel universes and
where do they come
dimensions. From? So it could be that way, or it could be like maybe we're just introducing them now and this is their genesis. Like, I don't know what exactly his plan is, but I know that there's multiple ways to get there. So
it could be.
I'm just curious to see which way he goes.
It could be an entire timeline rewrite, and then they're just there.
Yeah. I don't know how it's going to go, to be honest with you, but I'm sure he has a plan. There's so many different ways that you could get there. So it's going to be interesting to see which way they go with it.
Anthony, you want mutants now? Or you're okay waiting for them when they're ready?
No, I'm okay. Wait.
Yeah.
Wait, they've introduced so many characters. Let everything just breathe a little bit. We don't need to rush to the mutants. It'd be great to have them, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of characters that they introduced in Phase 4, and they should build upon that stuff. And they're going to introduce more characters in Phase 5, and just build it out. Wait.
I mean, in the meantime, getting Jackman back as Wolverine for a 10th time, him playing this role for, 20 years now at that point? That's wild. I can't wait. And I can't wait to see their first R-rated movie, how they're going to handle that. That's going to be fun. I don't know when that's coming out. Okay, let's move on to the Marvels.
Oh, you're excited about this one.
I'm excited about this one because he does say Kamala Khan steals this movie, he says in one of these interviews. And I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, shit, boner.
I like it. Here's what he says.
Is that really like a win if you can steal it from the most disliked character that ever existed in the Marvel Universe?
That is a layup there, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Like if they fucked that up, that would have been bad. But
they should have went with she stole it from Academy Award winning actress Brie Larson.
She steals this
and just kind of throw that in there
from
just so
Oscar winner.
Yeah.
So he says, quote, there are fun cosmic elements to it. Marvel Comics fans will recognize elements of the Kree-Skrull War. It's picking up directly after the end of Captain Marvel 1, not in timeline, but in story. We also do that in our upcoming Disney Plus series, Secret Invasion, and those are two very different follow-ups to that movie. And notably, speaking of spreading things out, slowing things down, they released a teaser poster for the Marvels with a new release date.
Oh, shit.
It was coming out in July. It has been pushed back to November 10th of this year, which is that's fine. Like they were gonna, now there's something in the winter to look forward to, right? But I'm excited for the three of them to meet. For Tiona Paris, Monica Rambeau, Brie Larson, Kamala Khan, all to meet should be fun.
I think I like that they pushed it back. Also, just keep in mind, I think the Blade was supposed to be in October.
Oh.
So they were going to have something in the fall. Obviously, we knew about the issues of Blade. So I think just padding everything out throughout the year it just makes more sense for Marvel, too.
Again, like 5 things, like 3 movies, 2 shows, all spaced out throughout the year would be like, that would be great.
If you're talking about movie pacing, this is kind of ideal, right?
Yeah.
You want something in the first quarter, something in the summer, and then something in the last quarter.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I guess there was gonna.
And I like this poster. There's actually it looks like this doesn't look very hard to make, but it's a simple poster and it works.
It gets the point across, right? It gets you excited. It is. It's a nice design. It's just the 3 of them vertically, like all floating, and the colors are nice. And Ruggs, are you excited? Anything on the Marvels? Does this do anything?
Am I excited? No.
This guy excited? Especially for the Marvels?
I'm not excited about this movie at all.
Okay. I mean, we might see more Skrull stuff, Kree stuff. Like, I want to see some more of that. That was kind of interesting, the little bits they've given us so far.
Has anyone seen Candyman?
The reboot or the original?
Yeah, the reboot.
No, I haven't seen the reboot. That's Nia DaCosta. Yeah, that's who's directing this. Yeah.
Yep.
This is her first Marvel movie and completely different writing and directing crew than the first one.
Yeah,
so,
they switched that out completely.
People seem to like that movie, and I heard a lot of praise about Nia DaCosta. So I'm interested to see her vision for this.
Me too.
And how that goes. Okay, moving on. The next thing we're going to talk about Captain America 4, New World Order, right? They start filming that soon, he says. And he talks about Harrison Ford because he is now General Thaddeus Ross. Not only that, he says, quote, he's the president of the United States in the film.
Oh, shit.
Oh, well, get off my plane.
Yes, he goes in with Harrison. You think about Air Force One. You think about some of his confrontations with the president in Clear and Present Danger. There's a dynamic between President Ross and Sam Wilson. They have a history together, but in this film, we'll be seeing the dynamic between Captain America and the president of the United States in a way that is just incredible. Oh, my God, throw Gary Oldman in there. Get him kidnapped. It'd be great. Get off my plane. Wow. Harrison Ford, not only as General Ross, but as the president again. I'm excited. He survived Indiana Jones 5, clearly. So
I'm with you. I think I wouldn't have been all that excited for this movie based off of Falcon and Winter Soldier and how that TV show wasn't all that great. Yeah. But them for some reason having Harrison Ford as Thaddeus Ross and now the president, I like it. I like that move.
I mean, you know what's funny about Falcon and Winter Soldier? Like every time I think about it, I'm like, man, I really want to watch that again because there's some stuff that really stuck with me. There's imagery that stuck with me. Like there was a lot of great things in there. And why do people always put it at the bottom of the list of the fucking TV shows? I need to watch it again. I need to watch all of these, but there's too many shows. There's not enough time. So, Ruggs, you excited for this? Do you think Ross will become the Red Hulk moving into Thunderbolts?
I have moderate enthusiasm. I wouldn't say excited, but I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'm waiting to see a trailer and what it could be. And I did like Falcon and Winter Soldier to a degree.
Yeah.
Just that last episode was bad, but it kind of was all over the place, that episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it depends on if they're steering away from that and into just like Captain America, which is cool. And, that whole patriotism and believing in this country and believing in people doing the right thing and being incorruptible. I think those are all things that are important. So if we're getting into that, I think that's cool.
That will lead into Thunderbolts, which has not started shooting, but he has confirmed that Bucky will be the leader, the de facto leader of this team. And my first question is, who is it? They're not going to listen to him. Who's all going to Yelena Belova is not listening to him. It should be interesting. And will we get a red Hulk?
I heard rumors, we might have talked about this, but there were rumors that Sentry was going to be the villain.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I don't know if we talked about it or not, but I thought makes the movie way more intriguing. Also, he's way more powerful than anyone on that roster.
He's like Superman level powerful, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that
could be
if
interesting.
They had Sentry in, I would say it would make me more interested in the movie because the roster that they chose for this movie could not have made me less interested.
Yeah, it's kind of underpowered.
Yeah.
Well, and we discussed it's a lot of the same powers.
It's all like super soldiers. Yes, it's a lot of super soldier serum in there, but then you got Ghost. Yeah, and you got Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Valentina Contessa, whatever. She's fun to watch.
Who they've done really nothing with.
Not yet. That's it might lead up into Captain America and Thunderbolts. So we were just talking about Blade, and all you had to say about Blade was their new director. His name is Jan Dimanche. Down in Atlanta right now, they will start shooting in the next 10 weeks or so. He said so. Marshall Ali
they're getting this off the ground.
I know, despite that huge setback, and I thought they would have lost Marshall Ali, but he does not walk. He sticks around, and they're gonna make a Blade. They're gonna make a Blade movie.
They better. He's almost 100 years old.
Yeah, he's getting up there. That's the thing. Well, he's still limber. I hope he hit the gym this whole time. This is exciting news.
Geek boner.
He talks about Spider-Man. He says about Spider-Man 4. This is what he says, quote, "All I will say is that we have the story. We have big ideas for that, and our writers are just putting pen to paper now." Oh, my God. Again.
Geek boner.
Has Tom Holland signed a deal? How many movies? Where do we want to go? We all loved where they finally left off Spider-Man No Way Home as an actual, nobody remembers Peter Parker, but they know Spider-Man. I mean, he's mentioned in the Ant-Man movie, but now he's got no help from anybody giving him any kind of tech. He's on his own, literally on his own. No friends, no family. He had to sew his suit together. He's going to have to make his own web shooters. I can't wait to see where they take this.
So this is basically confirming, right, that it's happening?
Yeah. I mean, if he's got a story and he's writing a script, they got to be moving forward. Meaning Tom Holland signed some kind of deal.
Probably gonna be back. Yeah.
Yeah. Afterwards, moving forward, and
I saw a rumor. I don't know how credible this is. One of my friends posted it in one of our group chats. Let me just cite where it's coming from real quick. This is the MCU Times, which I follow.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's pretty good.
Yeah.
is saying Tom Holland's Spider-Man will be the lead in Avengers: The Kang Dynasty.
I saw that. Yes. So, and then
throwing that out there.
So that and his own movie, and what order those come in, that's going to be interesting. But I did see that rumor to make him the leader of the Avengers. And then, wow, there's just a lot of potential. Then Secret Wars.
Comicbook.com is reporting this. We have the Kang Dynasty lead rumored to be Spider-Man after Tom Holland signs massive new secret deal.
Oh, shit. How many movies? Really?
Wow, that seems like a weird choice because he's the biggest fuck up in the Marvel universe right now. He's going to lead the.
Well, maybe the Spider-Man 4 is about him becoming Spider-Man again and becoming someone that they trust and a leader.
Yeah, I mean, there's also he was part of, if we're not to jump too much into Kang yet, but he was one of the movies that set off these branch timelines.
Yes, the chain of events.
Perhaps.
With his wish there. I mean, the possibilities are endless. You can have him working for Jameson, just like in the comics, because he doesn't remember him. But it's fascinating. And this is what I've been wondering.
Keep it in your pants, Imran.
I read another rumor that the Daredevil show could possibly lead into Spider-Man 4. So, and I can see that. They've crossed paths. But we're getting more Spider-Man. That's all that needs to be said. Thank you, Kevin Feige. Last thing.
They should get some inspiration from Dan Slott.
Yes, do all of Dan Slott's runs and then do them again.
Ruggs will be the first one at the theater.
Oh, yeah. Burn it down, yeah.
I mean, does he undo the timeline? Does MJ, start to remember him just, based on their previous past? I don't know. There's a lot of fun things they could do there. Okay, last thing. He talked about the Fantastic Four. He said, we sort of talked about mutants and that whole aspect to the Marvel world, but Fantastic Four is the foundation for everything that came after in the comics. And he wants to do the same thing on the screen. He says, we plan on that being a big pillar of the MCU going forward, just the way they've been in the comics. And I saw another thing that they wanted to cast Sue Storm first and then build the cast around her. Now, again, we're going to talk about Kang. Kang is a Fantastic Four villain. He leads into a lot of things. So another thing that everybody's been waiting for. But that also sounds like it's pretty far away.
Yeah, I think it's not till what, 2025, 26?
Oh, yes, I think it's probably 2025. Yeah. But I like that he wants it to do what they did in the comics, is be this family foundation.
2025 is the tentative release date, February.
Man,
wow.
Man, that seems like far away. So with all this said, all this article, I feel like, to recap, I feel like Marvel is aware of the problems.
How can they not be, though?
Yeah, they would be dumb not to. And they tried some things. And, there was a change of leadership at Disney Corporate. But maybe things will start to connect. And I think we are starting things start to connect. What do you guys think? Do you think they're steering it better to a better place now? Feige is.
We'll see. I don't know how much better it can get. I think that there might be an improvement as far as maybe avoiding certain things that they've done, or maybe like trying to soften some of these characters in like, for example, like Captain Marvel's not really like well liked. So they're leaning more on Kamala Khan. Yeah. So there's things that they're probably doing to soften some of this stuff out and rough out all those rough edges that they have. They, kind of soften those edges a little bit. But the fact that they're releasing less stuff and probably have a little bit more control over it, they need to be aware. They're obviously aware. But as you know, like if you take She-Hulk, for example, they were very in on it.
Yeah.
They were very much like, they knew about this. They knew about what was going on online, blah, 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 but they still steered into it anyway.
Yeah.
So if they learned their lesson from that, I doubt it. I think they're still in the process of doubling down on this stuff. But like, I don't know. Who's to say? Like, it's very, very weird. It's a very weird time for Marvel for me, to be honest with you. I don't know if any of this stuff is going to break through to the level that we were used to. Like, what do you think is going to be the biggest hit out of all this stuff here? Like, Spider-Man is probably going to be the biggest movie out of all these.
Other than the Avengers, you're saying?
Yeah, I think the two, if he can build up to the two big Avengers movies, that's what gets me excited. But
the Avengers isn't on this list here, but like, yeah, that we're looking at.
You're talking about what we just talked about?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man's probably your biggest. It's, definitely your biggest by far. Yeah, I'd say Spider-Man.
I mean, the Avengers movies are always going to do well because of just the name recognition. And at this point, there's only one really weak movie of the Avengers.
Right.
And so it's got some prestige. So we'll see.
How do you, if you're Marvel, and he mentions this in the article, after 31 movies, continue to put out content that can appeal to people who just want to dip in and like have a one contained story, but also appeal to people like us who have watched and followed everything? And should they even try bothering to appealing to everyone like that, or just do different projects? One that's like, this is your casual Marvel project, this is your hardcore MCU project.
I don't know. I feel like if you make a great movie and you're servicing the characters and you're servicing the story that you want to tell, instead of trying to, trying to make this grandiose product that everyone can enjoy or whatever, I think that you do that to some level, but you always lose something in the process, I think. But if you stick to your guns, you make like just a really great movie. You think about the acting and the script, and if the characters are doing what they should be doing at this point in time, and if everything kind of makes it sense in its own way, you're not making characters buffoons because you need to, or making them stupid in this moment when they're supposed to be really smart. Things like that. They can avoid all that stuff. And if they just need to hit one, and people will be like, oh, they're back. You know?
Yep.
They haven't done that thus far. But
people were kind of saying that after Wakanda Forever, that they were, they were happy.
Oh yeah,
the tone was back to being what it was.
Yeah,
yeah, I agree. Go ahead.
But that's still like an unfortunate. That movie's still an unfortunate event, right?
Right.
Because you have Chadwick Boseman missing. They had to rewrite the script, and it's kind of a hot mess. Yeah. And not everyone likes Namor. So yeah, it's a mixed bag. They still tried though,
right,
to kind of steer it in a good direction. So they are doing that. So we'll see. And even Ant-Man was more serious than I was expecting.
Sure.
But
yeah, no, I agree.
In some ways, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't we'll get into Ant-Man, but it was, I can say for sure that like it's not a Thor Love and Thunder.
No.
Where they just like completely throw the baby out with the bathwater and like everything's a joke.
They made an attempt to try and at least even it out a little bit.
Put some gravity where it's supposed to be. But
right.
yeah, I agree. Yeah. Like I mean this is the Marvel, this is the problem that just kind of is what it is, right? With Marvel, and that you've built a universe, you're 31 movies in or whatever the amount is, plus X amount of TV shows and specials. Like, not everything is going to be super accessible because of just everything you've built already. Like, that's the problem with comics in general, right?
Yeah.
So I think I don't want to say everything Rug Boy says, but yeah, it just comes down to making stuff make sense and good movies. And if you make good movies, people will come and they'll be interested in the overarching story.
Well, and he talks about making different things. So there's something for everybody, and that's important.
Phase 4 was there. I said this right when they announced Phase 4. I said this is their experiment phase. They threw a lot out there. Candidly, a lot of it probably didn't work, but hopefully they learned from it. And they're going to do a little, Feige, sounds like he wants to have a little bit more quality control, and they're going to be a little bit more intentional about what they're choosing, when they release it, who they're aiming for, essentially.
Yeah.
So hopefully, it's the law of averages, too. When you put out so much stuff, content, product, whatever Feige wants to call it, like, you're not going to hit home runs. And Marvel was on a streak for 3 years where they didn't have any movies that were rated rotten.
Yeah, hit movie after
not 3 years, 10 years.
Yeah,
from 2008 to 2019.
I mean, yeah,
nothing was rotten according to Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that was an amazing thing that, like, no other studio has ever done anything like this. And as far as like how long can they keep doing this, Like, the future is still exciting. They've given us so much shit, but we haven't even touched the X-Men yet. We haven't even touched the Fantastic Four. So that is another 10, 20, 30 years of content right there.
The thing that bothers me more than all that stuff, like, the good news is, yes, we have this unblemished stuff that we haven't even gotten to yet, that we have access to in order to roll that into the Marvel Universe. But the thing that bothers me is that they've gone so far away from the comics, and they've gone so far away from the classic comics.
Yeah.
That nothing's going to fit. Like, if they go and stick to them. So, like, I already resigned myself to thinking, like, they're never going to really stick to the comics. They're not going to go back to that. They can't. They've already gone all over the place. Like, the continuity's all messed up. Unfortunately, some of it wasn't even their fault. Like, they just didn't have access to these characters to integrate them.
Rights issues.
So there's all kinds of, like, things that are standing in the way from creating something that really is true to the comics. But, and I think that's what they actually need.
Yeah.
Like, they actually need to, like, basics. Trust the material, trust the stuff that's been successful since the 1960s. Trust the thing that had, like, a fan base long before it was the Marvel Universe on screen was even a fucking idea. Like, you have all these people that will throw themselves, and advocate for you, and throw themselves in, if you do that, but they're not going to do that. So,
but they got a shot at that with, like, the Fantastic Four. You can go back to basics and get the root of that, and try to adapt that, and even X-Men to a degree. They have, like, 2 good shots at trying to do that.
They have Doom,
yes,
which is like a great bad guy.
Yeah, we haven't seen Doom.
A great, powerful bad guy. If they do that right, like, they can align a lot of things, but, like, I don't think they're going to do it. I just don't have the faith in it like you guys do. I just don't. I really don't. I feel like we're living in a world where that's almost an impossibility. It's like, it's an insane thought to even have that they're going to stick to the comics. They're just not doing it. They've never done it. They haven't done it really since Infinity Gauntlet. And even that was like, they took a lot of liberties with that as well. So it's crazy.
But they're making their own thing, right? All of them. Civil War, Age of Ultron. They take the name, but they're making their own thing, and there's still a little bit of the original source material there. But I see what you're saying. It is kind of very convoluted and messy.
Like, they've just gotten Spider-Man to be Peter Parker.
Right, right.
And that's, like, flawed in not exactly like it is in the comic books. So it's like they've barely gotten there. Like, they had Cap pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Iron Man was pretty
solid,
good.
Yeah.
And they're gone. So
now now they're fucking with time and timeline. So it's going to get messy before it gets cleaned up.
And the Hulk they're not doing anything with, really, other than getting beat up by She-Hulk.
That's like a universal rights thing, probably. So
like, World War Hulk would be cool, but there's no Iron Man.
Yeah.
Who is a main reason for World War Hulk.
Well, the Illuminati was too, also.
Yeah, so it's just weird.
Look, it's different. We still got a bunch of characters that they could play with.
You're an optimist, Imran. I'm more of a realist.
See how much longer?
Pessimist, realist, tomato.
They still got a lot of properties and a lot of things. So yeah, the future. We'll see if they can bounce back. But. See how long Feige wants this job too, right? Like, how long he said he spent half his life already working on this shit.
Like 20 years, yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay, good stuff. We're gonna take a break here, play some promos, and come back and get real small. Go into the quantum realm, talk about Ant-Man, new Ant-Man movie review right after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Eric.
And I'm Aisla.
And together we are the hosts of the Bicurian podcast.
Bicurian is our answer to the polarizing culture we live in.
Tired of feeling under siege and looking for ways to get involved? Then come be a part of a different way of thinking.
Everything from politics to geek culture to current events that polarize us as a society. We explore multiple ways of looking at things. Please check us out at bicurian.com and follow us on your favorite social media platform of choice.
Forgive the interruption, but I believe this requires your attention.
If you ever believed Captain America was on the U.S. Olympic soccer team.
If you ever thought that the Winter Soldier was that brace yourselves guy on the internet.
And if you ever wondered just what would a raccoon do with a machine gun.
Then don't let another week pass you by without tuning into
Mighty Marvel Geeks.
Mighty Marvel Geeks is your show about all things Marvel.
With news, rumors, commentary, and interviews.
As well as our weekly recommendations on what to pick up on New Comic Book Day.
Official consulting hours are between 8 and 5 every other Thursday.
That's Mighty Marvel Geeks on WeebieGeeks.net, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts.
Jock and Nerd.
Listener, if you enjoy the show, you should join our Patreon fan club. Visit jockandnerd.com/Patreon.
Jock and Nerd.
Jock and Nerd. And it's where you can give back and be part of our exclusive Patreon community where you get extra benefits like an exclusive RSS podcast feed where the shows come out early. Bonus content this week. Patreon members would have enjoyed all of our instant reactions right out of the theater to Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I always love listening to those before talking with you guys. Sometimes we're all on the same page. Sometimes there's some shocking things. It's a lot of fun. Also, you can hang out with us on our monthly Discord hangout. You get Discord access. This month's hangout is this week, Thursday, February 23rd, 8 p.m. Central Time. Be there. And there's another tier where you can force us to...
This week, huh?
Yeah, it's this week. It's the day after this show posts. It's news to Anthony, even though I've mentioned it three weeks in a row. Last week was a lot of fun. Anthony was loose and free. So last month, the last one we did last month. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows how the night plays out on the Discord? Only if you're there. We also have a tier where you can pick and force us to watch and pick any movie. And we'll do it. That one is a lot of fun. All that can be found at jockandnerd.com/Patreon. Check it out. Okay, here we are. Big review time. Marvel's latest entry into the MCU, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantumania, here are your spoiler alerts.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Prepare to be spoiled!
We made it. We are here. Phase 5 has begun. The multiverse saga is upon us. Holy shit.
Geek boner.
That's kind of exciting. But of course, this movie is the sequel to the Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp. So the third Ant-Man movie and the 31st film in the MCU. It's wild that we live in a world where there's 31 Marvel-produced movies, and within that, there is a 3-movie Ant-Man franchise. Did anybody think this would ever happen? What the fuck is happening? Just stop. Right? Stop and think about that for a second. Ant-Man, first appearance, Marvel Comics, Tales to Astonish, 27, in 1962, created by Stan Lee, Larry Lieber, Jack Kirby. Kang, also created by Stan Lee, Jack Kirby. His first appearance, actually, as the Pharaoh Rama Tut in the Fantastic Four in 1963, number 19. First appearance as Kang in the Avengers, number 8, a year later, September 1964. So, Kang, notably an Avengers and Fantastic Four villain. Now, here's where things get crazy. The Rotten Tomato score currently for this movie, the tomato meter, 47%.
Oh, shit.
By critics?
Critic rating, 5.6 out of 10. 47%.
Wow.
Tying that as the lowest MCU movie, the second only rotten MCU movie with Eternals. On the other side of the story, audience rating, 84%.
Mm-hmm.
Huge fucking gap right there. Very interesting.
Not only that, go ahead.
The cinema score was low too, right?
Cinema score came in low at like a B or a B minus.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also, if you want to throw in, not only the audience scores, it's pretty solid, but opening weekend, biggest opening weekend for an Ant-Man movie ever. Ant-Man 1 was 57.
Correct.
Ant-Man 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp was 75.
Yeah.
This one, and I heard your review, Imran, where you said, I don't know if we'll get 100 million.
It just
105.5 million.
So barely, it cracks 105. 3-day, 120 for the 4-day, if you count President's Day. Currently, it's sitting worldwide, $359 million. As far as the budget, there's no actual reporting, but People are speculating it's probably like 200 million, which is similar to Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and Eternals. Looks like all their movies clocking in about 200 million. So, yeah. So, in one sense, trending up for the Ant-Man franchise, right? Sure. That's what you want. 55, 57, 75, 105. Great. However, if you look at the last 3 Marvel movies opening weekends, Black Panther, 181 million, Thor, 144 million, Doctor Strange, 187 million. There's a big gap there also. But
yeah,
we're talking about Ant-Man.
Yeah, but we're talking about Ant-Man.
Right, not Black Panther. Thor, also a 4th movie. Doctor Strange, a sequel. All those sequels. Just another sequel. Interesting numbers. Interesting how this played out.
Yeah, it's interesting. You could slice and dice it all sorts of ways.
Yeah, I didn't think just because my theater was like kind of quiet and it wasn't that packed, but it was snowing and icy. I was like, I don't know if it breaks 100 million, but it does crack 100 million. This third Ant-Man movie, directed again by Peyton Reed, who did the first 2, written by Jeff Loveness, who had just come off a stint working on Rick and Morty writer. Yeah. Starring, of course, Paul Rudd as Scott Lang, Evangeline Lilly as Hope Van Dyne, Michael Douglas returning, Dr. Hank Pym, Michelle Pfeiffer back as Janet Van Dyne, Jonathan Majors as Kang, Catherine Newton recast as Cassie Lang, quick Bill Murray cameo. You have Katie M. O'Brien playing Gentora, William Jackson Harper playing Quaz the Mind Reader, and our buddy, people are going to wonder, where's David Dastmalchian, who is Kurt, who worked for the ex-cons. He's in this. He is the voice of Veb, which is the little gooey creature. We'll get to him.
Oh, the one with no holes.
Yes, the one who is obsessed with holes. And Randall Park showing up as Jimmy Woo. Nice little cameo. And that's your main cast there, basically. Anthony, what happens in this third Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania?
We are post the Battle of Earth for or whatever they call it, Endgame, and Scott Lang is basically benefiting from all the fame from saving the world, and he's written a book, and he's on tour, and he's getting free stuff, even though people don't really know who he is still. Some people know who he is, but some don't. They think he's Spider-Man. And during this time, his daughter's become a teenager. She's a bit of a rebel. She decides in secret to create a beacon to the quantum realm. They get sucked into the quantum realm. They realize there's a whole new world down there, and there's an evil conqueror down there that's looking to get out and needs Ant-Man's help to get out. And that's the movie.
That's the gist of it. So, Anthony, tell me, walking in, you saw all these reviews. What were your expectations? And then at the end, how'd you feel?
So I'm similar to you, Imran. I listened to your review. I did catch a lot of the reviews, so I was coming in with a bit of a lower. I was coming in like, oh man, I'm going to be disappointed in this movie.
Yeah.
And I watched the movie. I've only seen it once, packed theater on a Thursday night. I got to say, I don't really see this being a rotten movie. I don't know why this is the second rotten movie I kind of know why. But to me, this isn't any worse than a lot of other movies. I thought this was perfectly fine. I thought it was a serviceable Marvel movie. There were times where I was a little bit bored, but there was also some times where I laughed and I enjoyed some of the action and I liked some of the performances. By the end of the movie, I felt like I'd gotten my money's worth to watch a Marvel movie. I wasn't overly pissed off about anything. I think tonally it's a little all over the place. We can get into that later. But I thought it was fine. I think there's worse Marvel movies, and for this one to be the second rotten movie for Marvel, I think it's a little bit of a critics. It's now one of those things. I saw someone else say this, and I agree. Once the domino falls and a movie becomes rotten, it becomes easier to rate Marvel movies rotten, and I think this is what's happening here. I also think there's just a lot of malaise with people like seeing things they didn't like in Marvel, and they're continuing to see them, and they're just like, all right, screw it, now we're going to make it rotten.
Almost like it's trendy to hate on the MCU right now.
I think it is trendy to hate on it, and I think this movie was not a bad movie. It's not like a great movie by any sense of the imagination, but if you compare it to something like Captain Marvel or Ant-Man and the Wasp, the second one, or some of the Spider-Man movies, like it's better than that. I mean, it's to me, it's better than what's that?
Spider-Man movies.
It's better than some of the. It's better than Far From Home, in my opinion. So
get the fuck out of here.
So in that sense, I think it's fine. I Enjoyed Kang. We can get into some of the weird stuff, though, with him being the villain. I think it's a little weird that he's the villain in this, but overall, yeah, I thought maybe it's because I came in the opposite of Ruggs, where it's like everyone's hating the movie, and now I'm just like, well, all right, I might probably like it, and I liked it. So there it is.
Well, quickly, I'll just double down because, yes, this bad press, these reviews got me to lower my expectations, and I'm kind of glad I did, because at the end of the movie, I was like, you know what? I'm with the audience score on this one. This was a lot of fun. I don't get, like you, I do not understand. Even with Eternals, shouldn't get 47%. I don't get.
I think this is better than Eternals.
It's better than Eternals, but Eternals also wasn't 47%. It is better than the second Ant-Man movie, which is completely, forgettable. Like, I can't tell me, they're just chasing around a shrunken building the whole time. I don't know what happened in that movie. But I thought this was a fun, decent sci-fi adventure. It gave me a lot of great things to look at, and also there were some good laughs. And with these post-credit scenes, I was satisfied that they're trying to build something together, connect the dots a little bit, lead to something again. I thought it was entertaining. It was like I must be trendy to hate on Marvel. Ruggs, let's find out how this movie hit you. Because yes.
Well, I didn't hate this movie. I never said I did. I understand why it's getting negative reviews, because I think it does the thing that no movie should do, is be boring. And I was bored. Like, I was really, really bored.
Wow.
I think that I didn't like the way this movie unfolded at all. I do overall, I'm okay with what they did with Kang. I'm okay with some of this stuff, but like it didn't really work for me to be in the pantheon of great Marvel movies. It wasn't even, it's middle of the pack for me, or a little bit lower in the middle. It's not the absolute worst. It doesn't leave a giant celestial sticking out of the fucking ocean and no one acknowledging it for 10. It doesn't do that. Like, it doesn't do like really, really big damage to the Marvel universe. It was just boring. Like, its biggest crime was like, I was bored, and I didn't like Michelle Pfeiffer's like, I'm not telling you what's going on.
That was probably the most annoying thing, like several times.
And that writing was just, it was infuriating to me. And I was like, why? I'm like, in what world would you not tell? Like you don't, like, you can compartmentalize information. You don't have to tell anybody that you've been fucking this guy. You could just be like, oh, this is what happened when I was in the fucking quantum realm, and you should know that this shit's going on. Like, you have access to the information that might be useful to them, and you just don't say anything. And then even when you're in the middle of it and you're like, okay, the jig is up, I'm in the middle of this story, I might as well like tell everybody what's going on. You still don't tell anybody what's going on. And I just thought it was a poorly written film.
I can't defend that. That's perfect. That's a perfectly reasonable take.
You're absolutely right. I'll put this on the table right now. Like, the movie has huge flaws. There's a lot of fiddly written characters. There's huge plot holes. There's some cliche tropey shit. It's predictable.
They're also troping themselves.
Yes.
The one thing I kind of found annoying was like, we have another just child genius that just can become a genius when they read a book. I mean, she
read his notes and built the fucking thing.
She read his notes and was like, well, I can now make a quantum quantum beacon.
And I did not like that actress either.
Okay, well, we'll get into that. But I want to say all that. Despite that, I came out of it feeling like I read a really fun, giant-sized edition of an Ant-Man comic book.
Yeah.
And
see that too.
And that's what I wanted. And yes, some of the backgrounds look very fake, and maybe they don't feel like they're really there or anywhere. But I loved the trippy visuals. I love the creature designs. It's very Star Wars, which is like the best compliment I can give this movie, is that it gave me a lot of Star Wars feels, a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy feels, a lot of parallels to this. And yeah, it's derivative.
But we've already seen them.
It's derivative,
right?
But I still I was really lit when I saw this. So I had a really good time, though. Like, I thought it was a lot of fun. I was like, why do people hate this?
So if you're going to be like the main piece of the Marvel universe that's going to be put out there, we said this with Doctor Strange, too. Like, it needs to kind of not be something that we've seen before. And I felt like It felt like very familiar territory. And there was like a lot of, I feel like we've seen all this stuff in Guardians of the Galaxy. We've seen all this stuff in other movies. So it's like they weren't doing it on any better level than they've done it. So I'm not trying to hate this movie where I think it's a piece of shit. I just wasn't. I just think it was like it was all right.
That's
like
perfectly.
Whatever.
I totally understand what you're saying. I agree that it's not anything. I mean, there's like some new stuff in terms of like the character, like how they look, sort of. But overall, it's not like a completely new aesthetic, even though they're in a new realm. But I will say, like, parts of the movie I thought were a little bit boring. I agree. By the end, though, I was laughing at stuff, and I was enjoying some of the action, and I was kind of intrigued by Kang. So it was kind of a mixed bag, but not. I didn't come out of the movie and go, "Man, that was a waste of time." I was like, "Yeah, I had fun." It was one of those movies where I was like, "I might want to watch that again sometime." Like I don't have that same feeling with a lot of the recent Marvel stuff, but I definitely wanted to see maybe watch that again, and maybe I will. I will say, just pointing out tonally, I enjoyed Kang and I enjoyed MODOK. I don't know that it makes a ton of sense to pair them up in this movie.
Yeah, that's one
and
thing.
The reason for that is Kang is a super serious character and not played for jokes at all, but his right-hand man is a complete joke throughout the entire movie. I don't know that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would have
like MODOK either. So there's a lot of big pieces I didn't like to this movie.
They changed MODOK
but I did laugh at MODOK. That's the weird
was
part.
So goofy and look, it was so disturbing. God, there's so many places. Let's just start there. Darren Cross from the first Ant-Man movie. It makes sense. When Scott defeated him and shrunk him down, he got all shrunk down in weird proportions. So he is essentially, you see his little tiny ass at one point when you're talking about putting the suit on. Giant head with baby arms, like MODOK. But the MODOK in the comics is actually like really smart and maniacal and wants to just rule and fuck shit up.
Well, yeah, but they've also taken MODOK in like so many different ways that he's kind of a joke too in the comics.
So
sometimes.
joke MODOK is fine, and I was laughing. The moment where Cassie is just like, Darren, just try not to be a dick. How about that? Just stop being a dick. And he has a little redemption. It's so funny. What bothered me was how they made his face look when he takes the thing off. Like, I feel like they didn't bother.
It's bad.
It's so bad.
It's bad. It doesn't look good at all. It's not funny or anything.
It's bad. It looks like they just took a flat video and stretched it and slightly warped it.
I kind of found it funny. I was like, this is intentional. I thought they were going intentionally bad, and I found the comedy.
But I mean, the minute
bad.
I saw his face, I laughed out loud. Like, I couldn't help myself. Like, it is ridiculously funny looking. But then when he puts the armor mask on, he's kind of intimidating. He's fucking fired.
But don't you think that's kind of a cop out though? Like it's funny because it's stupid, but like, isn't that like? I feel like it's a.
But
cop
he has
out.
a character. He has a little character arc and changes his feelings and comes in to say
my favorite MODOK line.
Yeah.
Besides the dick, he's like, "I'm not a dick." is well, I actually have a few favorite MODOK lines, but one of my favorites is when in the beginning when they're like, Darren, like he's trying to like Scott Lang's trying to like talk to him through the intercom, and then he's like, "All right, MODOK." Like,
yes. It doesn't respond.
And then later on, they're like, MODOK, and they're like, Darren? He's like, "Yep." When he changes.
I love when he tells him his name where it's like organism designed only for killing or something. And then Scott's like, shouldn't it be MODOK? Which is kind of funny too.
But I have to throw in the fact that it makes no sense that Kang would be with him. The way they cast, the way MODOK's characterization is, the way Kang is, Kang would be like, get the fuck away from me type shit.
I mean, they're both stuck there, right? So I don't know.
But I don't think Kang would associate with him.
Probably not. He'd be like, you are a fuck up, get out of here. Unless, he needed a lackey. But God, I laughed every time it came out. So I was like, is this so bad? It's funny. I don't know what to think.
I have to admit, I laughed at MODOK.
I laughed a lot, and there was some good, funny lines.
There was a couple of MODOK moments that were funny in the joke writing, yes. But yeah.
I like all the Star Wars-y shit, kind of. I mean, you had, there's like a cantina scene. You had aliens so the scene where, they get captured originally by these rebels and you can't understand the language and you got to drink that Veb, his goo, drink the ooze, and then you understand the language. That was great. That reminded me exactly of like Princess Leia and the Ewoks in fucking Return of the Jedi.
Well, that's out of John Carter. That's
a John Carter thing.
Yeah.
And then
I thought I saw that someone made a reference and they were like, "This is exactly like John Carter, like the movie, the tone, the way it's aesthetically." And I was like, "Oh, interesting."
Well, it's very different. Like you see Kang like force killing people. Even like Bill Murray's cameo, Krylar is kind of like the Han Solo Lando betrayal thing. It's all it's all the same shit. But Veb, first of all, when Hank Pym is like, that guy looks like broccoli. This is a big broccoli head. That's funny. And then Veb is like, you have so many holes. I don't have any holes. How many holes do you have? And then the guy goes 7. And then Scott like thinks about it. He's like, oh yeah, that's right. It's fucking hilarious. But all those creatures, the buildings that were alive, where he's like, your buildings are alive, yours are dead.
It's like, I don't know why it's like stupid, right?
Yeah.
But for me, it like.
Yeah, I didn't mind any of that stuff.
Yeah,
either.
it's like when someone says penis and I laugh. I'm like, I know that's not that funny, but it is kind of funny. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being juvenile, but I was laughing at the juvenile humor.
And like the different designs of these creatures and the species. It was great. The little blowtorch for a head guy and
right.
Bill Murray's cameo is completely pointless, but it's fun to see Bill Murray in an MCU movie gets killed right away.
Did we ever do the plot, or we did the plot and I just didn't remember?
We started with the plot. Well, there's more to the plot though, so get into some more details of the plot. We did the general plot. Where does the plot lose you, Ruggs?
Well, the whole plot is that Cassie builds this machine,
right,
and everybody gets sucked into the quantum realm, and at that point, Janet Van Dyne decides to like break it to the team that there's a fucking Kang there.
By the way,
and it doesn't happen till like the middle of the movie when Bill Murray is on screen, and I think that Hank Pym had said ants about 80 times.
Oh my god! Well, the only thing you know about Hank is he likes ants. Yeah,
yeah, he just said ants way too many times. Yeah, he just says about the ants. And so basically they find out there's a Kang there, and she had something to do with bringing about the dynasty of Kang in the quantum realm, and how he's built and enslaved or whatever he's done horrible things to those people. And they decide that they have to put a stop to it.
I do have to ask, when he built this kingdom, I was like, who are the people that he has? Like, are those people that were living in the quantum realm and he converted over, or did he make those people?
He might have made them. I think he has like Kang bots in the comics, right?
Yeah,
he just creates
because then those people, when they die, they like phase out.
Oh yeah, they completely like disintegrate.
Right?
Are they even real? That's a good point. Maybe he just created all those. But we find
I do. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we find out Janet Van Dyne helps make the glowy MacGuffin that every Marvel movie needs that powers his thing, but then she expands it and kind of leaves him stranded.
Well, she realizes she's helping him.
Yes,
she realizes
him
by touching his chair what he's really done.
Yes, and then she has to stop him, but then they hate her because she caused him, and then he took over, and she fucking jetted.
Right.
So
I do have to address one thing Ruggs said, because I listened to his review, and I think I understand Kang. I think I understand what his motives are, but I want to try to explain it. I think he's basically what He Who Remains is.
See, that's what I was kind of starting to think.
Because he mentions, too, that he wants to snip, that all these other variants are fucking around the timeline, and he wants to burn them from time, is what he says.
Right.
And I think it's because he thinks he's the hero of his journey, and the hero of his journey would be he's got to write the timeline so they don't keep fucking this up. Because every time they branch out and go to another multiverse, they're creating another branch timeline, which potentially can cause an incursion. I think that's what he was saying. But his methods of going about it are obviously he's just killing everyone to do it.
Yeah, I just didn't think it was written in a way where it had like enough weight to it. Like I was just like, yeah, I'm in the fog about this, and I shouldn't be at this point in time. And I pay attention to movies when I watch them.
Well, do you think it's because they put this in an Ant-Man movie? Where there's all these, like, we're talking about 7 holes, and then we're also talking about trillions of lives
dying.
Like, I think maybe tonally it doesn't fit.
Well, yeah, it's just like I still don't understand. Like why he's destructive in the way that he has to be, or why Like, why does he even choose to be like an emperor here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even know why he would do that there. Like, it doesn't. Like, I don't understand. He needs resources to like fix his. That should be his main goal.
Well, I
fix
thought he was
thing.
building an army so that he can, once he escapes, he has this army. The whole thing goes with him. Like that whole thing was starting to rise up. So he could attack.
He did say that, but yeah, I can see.
What? No, I'm in the middle. His motivation, muddy at best. Think about Thanos. You knew exactly where the fucking guy was coming from, right? And then you have Killmonger. Also, very clear, relatable motivation. This one, I wasn't sure, but then I started thinking about it, and I got to where you were. Is he dead? First of all, we're not sure.
No, he's not dead.
He shrunk
said he's
down.
been to the end of time and he knows what happened.
So
and
and so it is essentially is this whole thing a time loop also, where what we saw happen, Sylvie killing He Who Remains after he warns him of all the Kangs.
I think he wants to be He Who Remains, but he's not the same variant. Like he wants to be in that chair running shit, but He Who Remains got there first.
Oh. To call everything and bring it into one sacred timeline.
But he goes about, I think the way I interpret it is he goes about it a bit more brutally than He Who Remains, where He Who Remains created this TVA where they just prune stuff.
Yeah, they're killing people all the time.
But they send you to Goliath. And yeah, I put way too much thought into this.
Yeah,
so
how does this work?
You can stop me at any point because I'm going off on a tangent and I don't even understand.
Well, isn't he supposed to use Goliath to kill off all the other Kangs that are coming after him?
Yeah, He Who Remains did. Yeah, he used Goliath to kill off all the Kangs.
I do like how they left enough like breadcrumbs. They talked about his past and the future enough that they can build on this, and it got me intrigued. Right, we didn't get the whole story clearly. We don't even know if that Kang is the Kang the Conqueror. He was.
Let me ask you guys this, because I know Ruggs, when we talked about He Who Remains and Jonathan Majors, you didn't particularly care for that interpretation of the performance. What did you think of Jonathan Majors as this variant of Kang?
I like the acting.
Mm-hmm.
I think I felt a presence, a looming presence that was like formidable, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be tough to beat. But I know that he's gonna lose, so it's kind of like. They have to beat him right now so they can progress the story. So the fact that Ant-Man can beat him was not good.
Exactly what I was going to say. So what kind of credibility does that character have if Ant-Man can beat him?
Well, but here's the thing, right? The King, Nathaniel Richards, whatever, he's essentially a human who has tech. Tech can be smashed. But yeah, I mean, did he really beat him up like King was?
No, he didn't beat him.
He was
but
fucking
like,
beating the shit out of Scott.
He lost to the bunch of ants and the rebellion and all that, but
all his soldiers got taken down by a bunch of rebels. Yeah,
it did cross my. I was like, this isn't the like Ant-Man beating him, but then I was also like, maybe they're going with the route that it's not beating him once. It's just like he always comes back, and he has so many variants that it's like impossible to win because I think that might be the route they're going, given the post-credit scene at the end, where it's just like. You knock down one, but there's like 20 more behind.
And even in the comics, Kang's main guy he goes up against is usually variants of himself trying to take each other out, right? So we'll get to the post-credit scene because they dropped a lot. Like, you had to watch. This is not a standalone movie by any means, but we got rewarded for watching the Ant-Man movies, for watching Loki, and I like when they do that. But let's talk about this thematically. I want to go back to that. Ever since they announced that Ant-Man 3 was going to feature Kang, I think we all thought it was weird. Having seen the movie, it is still kind of weird.
It's still weird.
This is essentially it should have been a Kang movie. They could have just made a Kang movie. Does it work? Why did they put him in here? And the third act was a little predictable. Like, you knew MODOK was going to come back. You knew Kang wasn't gone. There was going to be one last battle.
I didn't think it was predictable. I thought that they were going to have Kang win.
Yes, that was
I thought that we were going to end it in a route where Ant-Man was beat. He was stuck in the quantum realm and Kang was winning.
That was not. I didn't see that coming. That's true, because I kind of felt that too. I was like, oh my god, they're going to trap Scott there and he gets out with his army. But then he'd have to deal right away with Kang in like the proper Earth 616.
Right.
I like that they're slow playing this. I think that was a rewrite. I believe that may have been
I think I saw
the
that,
original ending, but they're like, we got to slow play this a little. Let's trap
Yeah,
them.
the original I think was supposed to be with both of them trapped in the quantum realm.
Right. So I'm okay with the switch because now, especially with the post-credit scene, there's a little bit of mystery. There's a little bit, where is he going to turn up next? Is he dead? There's ambiguity. I think that works, but it does. And then you get like a happy ending. I do love that moment at the end where he's narrating, he's talking to himself, and he's like, wait a minute. What if I didn't save everything? Did I make things worse? And then he's like, it's probably nothing. It just keeps walking. It's so good.
Yeah.
He was great. His little, like, his comedy bits.
I saw a theory somewhere, it might have been Screen Crush, where they were like, maybe the way they write this is that Kang intended for this to play out the way it did.
Sure.
So that he gets back, like, I guess because he's now in the battery, he can travel anywhere at any point in time.
Now he's even closer to, like, the power, right? They've sent him closer. I think, and there's been, the more I think about this theory, I saw some videos that this whole MCU is in one big time loop. Like, all this shit has happened. It's going to happen again. And we are seeing the seam when we get to Secret Wars, when we get to Kang Dynasty. We're going to see the crossover of all the Kangs and then coming back to that one timeline.
Do you think that the character Kang can really hold up the Marvel Universe as the bad guy?
I mean,
I don't think it's just Kang.
Yeah.
I think what they're really going to lean into is Jonathan Majors doing all the
Kangs.
variations.
Like Star Wars, 3 movies,
Darth Vader,
or a lot of Darth Vader is the looming presence that is the bad guy. That is now Kang is kind of like for the next phase anyway, going to be that guy. So you think it works out? Do you think it?
He's kind of like Darth Vader, but like imagine Darth Vader getting punched by Luke and going down.
Well, it's the variations. I think that's going to be the key. Is like him playing all these variants of himself, where it just.
Do you
just
think
like
that's
rats.
sloppy? Is that too sloppy though?
I think there's a potential that it could be kind of clever, just given the fact that Thanos was a big giant presence, but he was one guy, and now like, well, how do we make this different? Well, we don't just have one guy; we have 1,000 variations of the one guy, and every variation you deal with is a little bit different.
Ruggs, what were you just saying? They should go back to the comic book source. This is exactly what they do in the comics. It's goofy as fuck. I always thought it was weird.
There is that panel in the comics.
Yes,
where
we will get to that. But
cheering.
Well, yeah, the all the Kangs.
Kang has it's a convoluted Kang storyline. I love that they made this. I thought the suit looked great because it's even goofier in the comics. It's brighter. But let's get to this post-credit scenes. It cuts to 3 Kangs talking in some kind of environment that a lot of people said looked like the end of Loki, where the castle that He Who Remains like part of maybe is. But we see Rama Tut Kang, which is like the first appearance of Kang in the comics. We
Egyptian, basically.
Yeah,
right?
he's like a pharaoh. We see Scarlet Centurion, which is like the cyborg looking Kang. And then you see fucking Immortus Kang, which is another Kang that wants to kill all the Kangs and rule the timeline. And they're all talking and they're like, listen, the Avengers they have dipped into the multiverse. They have to be stopped. And it cuts to the recreation of that panel, a large theater filled with thousands of variants of Kangs. And I was like, holy shit. Like, imagine all these Kangs just coming in and attacking in Kang Dynasty. That's fucking wild. I thought that was great.
I enjoyed that that post-credit scene.
And all those Kangs look great.
Mostly for the fact that it's so, like, if you watch the first Iron Man and then you're watching something like that 20 years later, you're like, where the hell did this go?
Oh, it has gone way out there. But
where the fuck is this?
And we're dealing with the part of the Marvel Comics that goes out there that it's like, I was never into the cosmic stuff, but they do this wacky shit and it's kind of fun.
Well, piggybacking on Ruggs' question, do you think the casual fan will be like, yeah, I'm in on that? Look at all those fucking Jonathan Majors everywhere.
I don't know. There were all Jonathan Majors. I don't know. I think it's going to like confuse, maybe intrigue a lot of people, or they're just be like, what the fuck? I don't imagine.
I admit I'm having more fun talking about it than I did watching it.
It was wild. And then I love the end credit scene that cuts to the 1920s at like a show, a traveling show. And the character of Victor Timely, Jonathan Majors playing another version of Kang. And fucking Loki and Mobius are in there, and Loki is scared. And he's talking about shaping time. Clearly, this is going to lead right into Loki season 2.
Is that Kang Prime, do you think?
So that's the other thing. There's a Kang Prime. In the comics, this Kang, Victor Timely, travels to the 1920s after being defeated by the Avengers. He goes there to hide. He founds the town of Timely, Wisconsin. He founds it. He creates it. And also another nice Easter egg, Timely Comics is what Marvel Comics was called before. It was Marvel Comics.
Right.
But Victor Timely is just like hanging out, and he builds advanced tech back there so he can defeat the Avengers. Which Kang is that? I don't know. Is that Kang Prime? There's a Kang Prime. So that's the great thing about the Kangs. Is like they will work together, but they also want to kill each other because they only want to be the one.
Well, there's a direct tie, dude, of like we know that he's Nathaniel Richards.
Right.
Which is Fantastic Four,
Yes.
great descendant of Franklin Richards,
And,
or Reed Richards.
Reed Richards,
excuse me.
possibly a descendant of Dr. Doom, too, in the comics.
Right. We might also get Iron Lad at some point, which is
Who is Iron
a
Lad?
young Avenger.
Oh.
That's the adolescent version of Kang that learns about his future self and wants to prevent it from happening.
He wants to be good. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a wild storyline. Did they fully execute it where I'm super excited about it? A little bit.
Yeah.
Like I'm excited about Kang. I don't know if, as we discussed, if this was the right format for the movie, but I understand that they wanted to do something different and make the Ant-Man movies, which have been pretty, small stories, no pun intended, into, I guess, a smaller story, pun intended, because they're in the quantum zone, but actually bigger. So I get why they did it. I just, it's just an okay movie.
Well, and it's interesting because that's what every critic was saying, citing why they didn't enjoy it. Maybe they're fatigued with Marvel movies. The fact that they were looking for, like, the first two movies, a smaller heist movie.
Oh.
But I like that they kind of went for a different swing. Yes, a lot of the characters kind of get sidelined, but we get a lot from Janet and Hank and the daughter, Catherine Noonan. She was all right. She was a very cliche teenager, but I thought I loved the relationship. I loved in the beginning where she's giving him shit for like doing something with his life where he's just doing nothing. She's like, do something meaningful. And, all their motivations very one note. Scott is just like, I have to protect my daughter. Hank is just like, I love ants. Janet's just like, I got to tell you something, but not now. Hope, I don't know. She just swoops in for like one scene.
Was she in the movie? Yeah.
Yeah,
it's crazy
called
to me
Ant-Man
that
and the
they
Wasp.
have. They call it
barely
Ant-Man
in
and the
the fucking
Wasp, but
movie.
she's not doing shit.
And but that storm, the probability storm scene, I thought was fucking fantastic. That was so imaginative with the tons of ants of Scott Lang's, and then how it shocks MODOK that they all kind of band together and help him. He's like, they shouldn't be able to do that, but trippy as fuck. I love that, him falling apart and getting big.
Well, Scott's whole thing is the arc for him is that he's all about family, but Hope wants him to actually be a hero,
right? And to do the right thing, even though it's not just for your family, just to do it.
It's pretty overt. They spell it out millions of times, so it's not subtle at all.
No, and he gets there. He gets there at the end where he's like, "I'm gonna do the right thing." But so yeah, I mean, it's a lot of flaws, but I feel like it has finally some impact on the MCU moving forward, more than all the self-contained post-credit scenes we've been getting in the past few movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can certainly watch this movie, look back at some of the stuff. Might not be like point A to point B, make all the sense in the world, but at least you can look back at this movie, go, okay, I see Loki, I see Doctor Strange, I see Spider-Man No Way, or what is it? No Way Home.
Yeah.
I see that, I get it. This Council of Kang is saying that the Avengers keep touching the multiverse and they need to like kind of stop them. Like if you wanted that, like if you wanted some tie-ins to other stuff, now you could see it, and then you can also make the ties to other things in the future, like I mentioned, like Fantastic Four, Loki 2. So now you're potentially getting some ties. I did see a lot of theories too that perhaps Shang-Chi's 10 rings they're circular.
A lot of rings in this movie.
Perhaps those are the beacons that are Kang's technology, that are the beacon sending out to Kang. I also saw some stuff about the Bengals and Miss Marvel being Kang technology. So there might be threads there now that we didn't have before that you can tie a little bit.
Shang-Chi also takes place in San Francisco, along with the first two Ant-Man movies.
It also takes place in a pocket realm. But the big thing is the 10 rings perhaps could be Kang.
Well,
leftover technology.
His fortress has circles. When she opened that door, it lit up like circles, kind of like Eternals. Also, all the geometry in Eternals. So, and then Miss Marvel's bangle, the rings. There's all some kind of cosmic connection. So that's all I wanted, and they started doing it again.
Hey, they gave it to you.
Yeah, they gave it to me. I fucking enjoyed it. I was like, finally.
I just felt overly frustrated. Like,
totally.
The way I can make an allegory is like if you're going to, let's say you're at like Great Adventure at your theme park, you're waiting for rides, and you're going to get on the ride and you're going to have fun once you're on the ride, but the whole process of waiting on the line. And let's say it starts downpouring rain, and you're like, "Oh, this is making it worse to get to the ride." That's what I felt this movie was.
This thing.
It's like I felt like it frustrated me to a point where when I finally got to some things that are really interesting, I was like still like trying to dry myself off. I was like, oh, okay, I just I waded through some like really like frustrating and boring ass shit to get here. And the payoff was fine. It wasn't like there was no payoff. There was actually some decent stuff going on, but I can't forget about what I didn't do it enough where I forgot about what happened prior. So, I can't say it's a terrible movie or like, as I said, it didn't leave the Marvel universe in a worse state like the Eternals did. It actually set up some nice stuff. So it did its job. It didn't really like, I don't think it's warranting like this bad, like Thor Love and Thunder was way more of like, I was vehemently pissed off when I fucking got out of that movie. I was like, what the fuck are they doing? This shit is ridiculous. Like what the fuck's going on here? I was like, oh, all right. Like, that's some silly shit. Like, MODOK was bad, like a little bit too bad for me. Like I really didn't like MODOK at all, but like, but I was like, you know what? Like it felt like a real movie. It felt like they were trying to do something. So I can't really fault them for making an earnest effort, like to tell this kind of complicated story. I just was bored and frustrated by some of the writing, and I didn't like MODOK, and I didn't like Cassie either because I felt like her expression never changed.
No, it doesn't.
Throughout the entire film.
It doesn't at all. She has two expressions in the whole movie, really.
I can see her two front teeth this entire time.
Yeah, it was just she's attractive.
She's
There's
cute,
nothing wrong with she's she seems to embody the character, but I just feel like her facial acting is just terrible. Like I couldn't. I'm like, when am I gonna feel like either like you're scared? Like I don't. She's always got this like happy-go-lucky look on her face.
It was great
weird
to see her get big though, and I love when they hugged. He's like, I feel like I'm hugging Godzilla. It was kind of funny.
Which line was that from?
That was when she gets big and Scott's still big. And he's like, oh my God, you got big.
You want to know something, though? They didn't do a good enough job with that because I didn't even know that they were big when he said that.
Yeah, it might have been. I mean, he was smashing
because it was actually like a wide shot when they hugged.
Yeah.
So it looked like they were just normal size.
Yeah. But dude, when he got big and he was just smashing buildings and then he pulls out that platform and stuff like that shit was dope. That looked great. I thought that was exciting.
It was fine.
What was the deal? That was another thing that was a little odd. Was he can still get big, but he can't get big enough to get out?
Why doesn't he just get bigger? No, that's way too big. No, you're talking about varying quantum levels of bigness.
He got him. It's like he was so quantum.
Well, here's another big plot hole. Doesn't time pass differently down there? Remember that he talked about how he thought he was there for 5 hours. It was 5 years. She was there for 30 years. How long did that feel? But then they come back out and it doesn't seem like any time has passed. Yes. So it's just convenient writing. So yeah, the writing's all over the place. Look, there's a lot of holes. It's a little bit of a mess.
They're not gonna explain the physics of the quantum realm.
No,
do whatever they want.
Yeah, all that shit is out the window. It's all loosey goosey, whatever. As long as you give me a fun ride and a good time, and I felt like I read a comic book.
You did.
I was satisfied. I did, and it was.
You were also quite high.
Yeah, that helps. Mind if I do a J? I recommend that before it will make you enjoy it. But other than that, the great post-credit scenes. Okay, let's just rate the movie and rank it. Anthony,
rank it.
Yeah, loose rank it. Out of 31, it's hard.
I haven't actually put it in my rankings yet. I should do that. But so I'll give it a loose ranking.
Yeah.
You said the line, and I'm going to steal it from you. But I watched the movie, and I felt like I watched a comic book movie.
Yeah.
I that's a great line, and I think that's exactly what I saw.
Yes.
Yeah, in a good way, and that this is a wild we're talking about variations of Kang coming back to potentially destroy the multiverse. Like, okay, whatever. This is kind of a wild movie. Tonally all over the place at times. Still, it's a little questionable to have Kang lose. I get that it was boring, but I also laughed a lot, and I also enjoyed the end battle with Kang getting attacked by ants and MODOK. So overall, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay, wow, all right, solid.
Okay, yeah, just okay.
Loose ranking out of the Ant-Man movies, what would you say?
Oh, out of the Ant-Man movies, I think I said it. I'm still debating if I like it better than the first one. I'd have to rewatch it. So right now I'll say it's the second best. And then as far as Marvel movies, I'd say it's a mid-tier, maybe a mid to lower tier, but not low tier Marvel movie.
I mean, it's so hard. There's 31 now. Right?
Yeah, there's a lot of
Where do you slot in? Okay, Ruggs, what are you going to give it?
Yeah, I was bored a lot of the time in the beginning, mostly too. Like I was frustrated at the Janet Van Dyne stuff. I did like the new characters that they put in, and I thought they were cute. And I did like some of this quantum realm bad guys and the aliens and the Star Wars-y feel like you were talking about. I like Kang. I didn't like MODOK. Even though there were some funny lines there, I don't think that I'd make that trade-off, like, for having really jarringly bad.
Well, he's dead now too, right? Doesn't he? Does he die?
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? But like,
you're like a brother to me.
And the
I'm dying an Avenger. It's like
I still don't like, even when we talk about Kang's like motivations and what he plans on doing, I'm still a little foggy on it, and I felt like that was a failure of the script as well. So I think writing wise, it's really bad. I think as an experience, it ends up being okay, but there are some boring parts. So I'm going to say it's a 6 for me.
Okay,
there you go.
And 6 is like, it's okay. It's meh. It's a little bit better than average. So
out of the Ant-Man movies.
It's the best Ant-Man.
Oh, you think it's the best Ant-Man?
I don't know.
Movie?
I don't know. I mean, it's the biggest one.
The biggest one.
That middle one was like so underwhelming.
Yeah.
And that first one was fun, but also underwhelming to me in a lot of ways. So this one like had more bang for the buck.
Sure. I see that.
And it's more important that you watch this movie than the other ones. The first one's funnier.
Yeah, absolutely.
By far, and it feels like a totally different kind of movie.
Yeah.
So, but as far as the Marvel, and it's in the middle of the pack, it's towards the lower end. But I mean, I would rather watch this than like Captain Marvel. I would rather watch this than the Eternals. I would rather watch this than Thor: Love and Thunder. Yeah. I think it's like tied with Dark World.
Whoa, that's kind of the low end, though, isn't it?
No, because actually, I rewatched Thor: Dark World. It's not that bad. It was the worst Marvel movie at that point when Marvel movies were great.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. You're absolutely right with that.
If you rewatch it, you'll see, okay, Malekith or whatever his fucking name is. I can't remember pronounce it right.
Yeah.
Like, he was, he needed a better propping up. But everything else kind of is fine.
That Loki fake out at the end is great.
That's an interesting point. You said that it was shitty amongst like a lot of good stuff they were doing, but in comparison to what's coming out now, it shines a lot better.
Yeah, I think it does just as good as this movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I don't think Dark World is the worst now.
Wow.
I think that there's.
Wow, I'm gonna give it a decent 7. Like, yeah, and I agree with everything you guys said. But I had fun. Yeah, there's lots of flaws, but essentially it was a fun ride. Kang being here is great. I love Majors in this role. Maybe it should have just been a Kang movie. I'll put it. It's close to the first movie. I like the first movie a little bit better. It just has a certain charm, but it's definitely better than the second movie, which is completely forgettable. And same thing. Middle of the pack of the 31, mid to low. It's so hard to rank them.
I put it 21 in my ranking.
Oh, just out of your top 20. That seems about right. That's it. Because I was like, does it make the top 20? Maybe almost scratches it. So that's about right. Okay. Let's do some news from the nation. We have more thoughts about Ant-Man. It's time for news from the nation. It's time for news from the nation.
It stinks. It stinks. It stinks.
Look, this movie clearly, the Rotten Tomatoes score, it's become a very divisive movie, which I find very entertaining and kind of surprising. So, and this is reflected, I think, in our comments here. Ron Hahn says, I can't wait to hear at least Roberto Bambino shit on how bad MODOK was.
And you did.
You did. You got that. Paid. I'm starting to have reservations on the future of Marvel for the first time in a long time. John Campea also on his latest podcast, he said Marvel has lost its magic for him. And, his points were valid. I can see where he's coming from. What do you guys think? I don't think it's completely gone. Have they lost their way? I think there's still room that they can write this.
I think the three of us are not that far off on our opinion of this movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I might like it less than you guys, but I don't hate it. I don't think it's a failure. So yeah, we kind of are all middle of the road. And I feel like that's weird that we're all kind of middle of the road. Like we liked it, but we're not like fucking like, oh my God, this is like a tour de force. I think that we were even more positive with Black Panther than Wakanda Forever than this.
Yeah.
We were more like kind of, excited about Marvel kind of getting its shit back together. I don't know. I feel like that the Marvel brand is suffering a little bit. And I think that, I don't know. Some people are more optimistic about it than I am. I'm kind of like trying to be realistic about it. I'm like, what is really going to change? Yeah. I don't know. As I said, they had all these kind of hurdles where they didn't have all their characters and this and that, people dying, killing off, their main characters are getting rid of like their main pantheon of people and trying to install this new group. They have a lot like they have to kind of overcome here, and they've gotten bad press.
We're watching them work through these hurdles, right? And it's reflected in the thing. Well,
yeah.
Anthony, what do you think?
Have they lost?
Has it lost its magic? Now, Campea cites like for a while between a number of years, they were putting out literally banger after banger. Everyone, right?
No, yeah. If you're expecting banger after banger and like hit after hit, they have lost that magic for sure because the TV shows really did that. And then you throw in some mediocre movies, and they've lost that magic where it doesn't feel like every movie or show is going to be a hit. But I don't know if they can ever completely get that back.
Yeah.
But I still remember like coming out of a theater in less than 2 years ago out of No Way Home and thinking, my God, Marvel's got it back.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I think another good movie, like another stretch of good movies where they do 2 or 3 in a row that are really pretty good.
They could be
I think they can get back some of that goodwill. So it doesn't sound like it's affecting the box office. That's for sure.
No, sure. Okay. Moving on. Justin Werner.
We'll see.
Justin Werner says, I'm hoping they kill off Hope Van Dyne's haircut. LOL. Not like, you know what? I didn't like it at first, but I was like, it's fine. It looks.
I didn't notice because she's not in the movie.
Just barely in the movie, so it doesn't matter. Another comment about killing people, like you were talking about, Ruggs. Rick Martinez, not the ending I was expecting. I did not want the heroes to win. I was also expecting a death in the Ant-Man family. And they have almost gotten us to expect us like somebody's dying. I mean, in the next thing we're going to get, Guardians, where they're saving up for that, where they're just going to wipe out everybody. Jamie Robinson has a very important comment that we didn't bring up. No Lewis.
Oh, shit.
Luis. Michael Pena missing. That was a big miss.
Was he in the second one?
He was.
He was. The ex-cons. Right. Kurt, the small G and his Kurt, and Pena was in that.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It would have been nice to see Lewis, but they were barely on Earth, so I don't know how we could put him at the end. Okay, Daryl K says, some of y'all are going to roast me for this, but here it goes. This movie was more entertaining and better paced overall than Wakanda Forever.
Oh, shit.
I'd rank this one in my top 20. Wakanda Forever is mid for sure. Agreeing with him, Rick Martinez, he says better pacing than Wakanda. Blake Braden also says spot on. I can name a handful of MCU movies that were reviewed more favorably than this one that aren't as good or entertaining. I legit dozed off in the middle of Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, I like Wakanda Forever. I think it's a better movie, but I totally get that Wakanda Forever's pacing can be really weird.
I feel like that Wakanda Forever had a little bit more gravitas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was.
So it kept me more like compelled to watch.
Grounded, right? And just heavy.
Yeah. So yeah, it could be, it was plodding along for sure. But I was bored more by the bad writing. I was just like, oh, come on. Like this convention of her not telling it. Like I'm bored now. Like you're not really building anticipation. You're just pissing me off now.
You know what? I was so high. I wasn't bored once. Maybe that's, I can't. I was like, no, I was into every second of this. I was like, this is amazing. Glenn Smith says it was a decent movie. Could have done without MODOK. I like the Star Wars meets Ant-Man feel. It's a fun time at the theater with my family. Look forward to see where they go leading up to the Kang Dynasty. On the other hand, we have Jose Ibarra going, a big meh for me. It was just okay. Better than its RT score, though. Jonathan Majors as Kang was the highlight, but at times I felt like he was in a completely different film.
I agree.
That's a lot like Christian Bale in Thor and Love and Thunder. Same thing, right?
Yeah, true.
He says a much better film than this, that he was in a different film, a much better film than this. I wish it had ended with Scott or Hope sacrificing themselves to stop Kang rather than him being defeated. It's hard to see him as the big bad now after losing to a B-list Avenger. Yes, but there's thousands of Kangs out there. But he must be the most dangerous. They exiled his ass. Yeah, he did Scott got him with the oldest trick in the book. The same thing he used on Darren Cross. Just smack those things on him and shrink him down. Bruce Ho-Yu says it was enjoyable. It advances the overall MCU plot, including Kang, made me laugh a few times, got me rooting for the heroes. Even Hank in this one. It was not perfect or life-changing, but who expects that from a Marvel movie? Good point. Or an
Imran O'Hughes.
Imran O'Hughes. So I love, again, back and forth, all over the place.
He probably also smoked weed before.
Yeah, probably. Bruce, I'm your man. Blake Braden just says, can't wait. And he posts that panel from the comic of the Council of Kangs. Here's an interesting one from listener Dirk Wood over. I got this on Instagram. He says, hey, Imran, another fun fact you could maybe use for the show. And I don't reckon anyone would have picked up. E from the Eels, there's a band called the Eels. E from the Eels had a cameo in the San Francisco Street intro. He was the jogger with the dog. He says, I'm a massive Eels fan. Thought you might be too. Definitely your vintage. So I nearly choked on my poppin' corn when he showed up. I got to thinking later, and it reminded me, having read his autobiography, his father is responsible for the theory of parallel universes and was sort of a mad / troubled / quantum physicist / genius, not unlike Hank Pym. He says, nuts stuff. Keep on keeping on, dude. You know, you remember the band Eels, Rugs?
Yeah.
That song, Novocaine.
Yeah.
Mark Oliver, what's his name? He had a cameo in this. So
I don't know what he looks like, to be honest.
Just like a dude with a beard.
All those guys in bands look the same to me.
They do.
They're lanky and they look like musicians.
They all look like, are you in Weezer?
They're not distinct. Yeah. Like, they're the guy from Weezer.
He looks exactly like that with a beard. But fun that Dirk Wood picked that up. Eels is a good band. Okay, good stuff. Let's finish with some what are we watching? Last of Us. We've gotten episode 6. Oh, spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Just in case everybody's caught up, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, not an action-heavy episode, but a very good character episode. A little bit of action at the end. Also a little bit rushed in the end. I've been doing this fun thing. You guys are going to hate me. Because I can't wait to find out what happens because we are past where I've played the game. So I am concurrently watching gameplay of the game while watching the show. And I'm at the same exact point now in the YouTube video as where the show ended. But it's so interesting to see what they change and how they get through things.
Yeah.
And you see that a lot in this one.
Is it different in terms of I don't remember the game him having that moment of weakness with his brother where he's like, I can't protect her.
He does. He tells he wants her to take him and then she runs away and you have to go find her. There's more horseback riding stuff in the game.
Got it.
And then he makes up his mind. He's like, you know what? I'm going to take her. I'm taking this horse. Thank you. And they're off to the University of Colorado. So they changed some things like that. Apparently that camp, that awesome commune in Jackson, Wyoming.
Yeah, you never go in there.
That's from the second game you see it. But you do meet Tommy. He gets reunited with Tommy and his wife, Maria. But then some of the dialogue straight from the game where she's like, you're the only one that didn't leave me. Everybody's left me. All that bit was straight line for line from the game. So, and then how it ends, how Joel gets injured a little bit different. But now I'm like, what the fuck? Are they fucking killing Joel? You can't kill Joel. I know in the game you start to play as her a little bit. So that's where we're at. But it's still a fucking great episode. What did you think of the episode, Anthony?
Yeah, it's still riveting TV for me. Even the fact that I played the game, I don't absolutely remember everything, but then as the episodes play out, I go, oh yeah, that's kind of from the game.
Yeah.
So I think they're doing a good job. I think I like the dynamic they're building. It's making me feel like these characters are, not falling in love because they're not romantic, but starting to care for one another.
Father-daughter.
I like the angle with Joel being a bit scared to protect her because he's it reminds him of his daughter. And I think they're just doing everything really well. They're executing it well. And even though there's not a ton of action, I don't necessarily need a ton of action in this show for me to be entertained. So overall, just another solid episode. And I look forward to it every Sunday. So
there wasn't even any clickers, right? Just more raiders, bad humans.
Yeah. I was watching the show and I was just thinking, are there going to be clickers in this episode? Yeah. I'm like, are they going to just put them in, or are they going to, encounter anything? And they didn't. And I was and I didn't mind it at all. It was fine. I think that the last episode gave us enough clickers and clicky stuff. Mm-hmm. And that last big raid.
It's good that they save it.
That it's good. Yeah, it's good to not have to do it every single time. Show's very good, and I'm shocked by this stabbing that he's Joel is taken out, and that's kind of weird. But
that happens in the game too.
How are they going to get out of this? How are they going to get out of this in a way where it seems legit?
Well, the trailers for the next episode are heavily Ellie is featured, and maybe it's her backstory. I don't know if there's all these other kids. I was like, what the fuck? When is this? Where's Joel? But man, an injury like that, an impaling in that kind of world, you're gone. I love the dialogue that they pull from the game where he's just explaining things from the old world. He's explaining how football works, and she's like, "Is back there in Jackson? Is that how the world was before?" And he's like, "No, it was way too big for that. We all had jobs and had to do shit we didn't want to and stuff." So that little bits of dialogue are always great, and the settings are great, and you get to the snow part of the game. That people remember. So yeah, it's fucking still solid. What, 3 episodes left? Yeah.
Overall, I like.
It's doing well. It's doing well. You should watch it if you haven't.
Yeah, it is a good show. Let's go back. Last week we talked about Physical 100. Did anybody catch up? They put out 2 more episodes of the best.
I have 1 more episode before I'm caught up. So.
The best Korean game show you are not watching on Netflix right now. Listener, now there was I said some wrong things last episode, and I didn't realize it until I saw the new episodes. Ruggs, did you watch any of the new episodes?
I don't know.
7 and 8. So
perfect.
7 and 8 are out, and there's only 1 more left that's coming out this week. It's the final episode.
I think we're past the boat thing.
Yes, they finish up the boat thing.
And what's the next competition?
Then it's the challenges based on Greek mythology.
Yes.
Which is very cool.
Yeah. Is that the one where they have to run and stuff?
Yeah, they got to do a bunch of things, hold the ball.
Yeah. I've only finished. I haven't watched that 8th episode, so don't spoil.
Run back and forth. Okay, I'm not gonna.
So yeah, I did watch that episode. Yes.
So
not the newest one. I don't think the newest.
Somebody
one.
did catch my mistake, and it was listener Brian Goff over on Instagram. He wrote in, goes, "Hey Imran, I'm sorry. I just had to point out that you are a little off with your time when discussing the Physical 100 boat pull. I'm surprised Ruggs and Anthony didn't correct you either when you said it took them 18 hours. Dude, it was 18 minutes.
Oh, shit.
No, when he says stuff like that, I just don't correct him.
I probably wasn't even paying attention.
That's for you guys to
You
do.
definitely weren't paying attention. He says, could you imagine how much longer this series would have been if it took 18 hours? They would have shown us like 16 hours of that. Anyway, great recommendation, Anthony.
Thanks, Brian.
I read the timer wrong. I'm an idiot. I fully admit.
Yeah, there's no way they're doing that 18 hours.
But then that made it even more impressive. I was like, holy shit, they did it in like less than 20 minutes. Pull this fucking boat. I'm an idiot. And I didn't.
Well, it's a contest.
Yes.
They got to.
I didn't realize that until
they're not out for a Sunday stroll.
they tallied up the scores and finished the
These are supposed to be the most fit people in Korea.
Yeah. I mean, 2 tons seemed very heavy. So
does seem heavy.
Anyways, I loved back to that boat challenge. What was interesting is how close that third team with an injured person and like 4 women, how close they actually got, because they did the one thing that I was yelling at the screen to do with the other 2 teams.
What's that?
When you have the boat on logs, you do not need to do the rhythmic 1, 2, 3 push. You go 1, 2, 3 push, and you just keep fucking pushing because the thing is rolling now and you got momentum.
The problem though is you gotta get the back.
You do have to get the logs, but I feel like you could do longer pushes, and they did that and got the boat across really
Would
fast.
you realize that in the moment though?
I don't know. I think maybe, I don't know. Once you'd see the momentum, maybe not. Watching it, I was like, oh my God, long push. You need a long push. But then when you hit that slope, the fucking game is over.
Yeah, it's tough.
That slope was impossible, and even that second team had trouble.
Well, the thing is though, like, they said it's only 2 minutes. 2 minutes is a long time.
I
it's
guess
not exactly
it was
a close finish.
Well, but the first team did it in 13 fucking minutes.
I know that first team was killing it.
Killer. But
they did was they lifted the boat off the thing.
They moved it quicker.
They put it on the logs instead of pushing it onto the logs.
Oh, right.
They like 1, 2, 3 lift, lift and push at the same
and then
time.
Long push when it's on the logs, and then keep going. But fuck, fun show. Yeah, I can't wait to see. I won't spoil. We're down to just only a few people.
Yeah.
So they're gonna come out with one winner, and still good. Anybody watch
one winner?
Anybody watch anything else?
Yeah, I watched 2 things. One is a very familiar film, and the other one is something that I just threw on, and it's Lupin the Third, First. It's on Hulu.
Oh, I heard about this.
Is that the familiar thing or the thing you just threw on?
That's the thing I just threw on.
Okay.
This is I've heard about this.
It's Lupin the Third is a long running anime manga from Monkey Punch. That's the name of the guy that's what he's named, Monkey Punch. And it's basically like a master of disguise, super thief, and kind of like a lighthearted Indiana Jones or Tomb Raider like type thing, where he's always on this trying to steal something, and then he gets involved in some kind of bigger thing. This one was a like DreamWorks level 3D animated film.
Wow.
And it's exciting and fun, and it's lighthearted. It was okay. It was like an okay film. It wasn't like a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but it was very like enjoyable and had a lot of action that was like ridiculous to the point where Fast and Furious was like, hey, we're going to do like impossible shit and you're just going to buy it because it's a ridiculous cartoon. And you do. I mean, there's times where I'm like, that would never happen. But like, yeah, you're watching a fucking Lupin the Third cartoon. So that was kind of cool.
It reminds me of like Speed Racer a little bit in that style.
Yeah, it was, he's very cartoony.
I like that it's called Lupin the Third, the First. Lupin 3.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So if you haven't watched that I would check that out. It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. Okay.
It's dubbed.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I watched Superman again. The first one.
Really?
Whoa.
Good old 78 Superman, huh?
That fucking movie is
Isn't it
just
great?
Well, you want to know something about the movie? It's like, it's good overall, but like, I think that first hour is fucking incredible. Yeah. Like, it is everything that every comic book movie isn't doing. Mm. It, like, when they made Man of Steel and they just rushed through it so fast and then didn't give it the weight that it needed to. And there's something about it, like how well thought out Jor-El was, And like, he knew that he was sending him to this place. He knew what was going to happen to him. And you hear like Marlon Brando while he's like in the ship flying towards Earth, and he's like, just downloading all this information into Clark or into Kal-El. Like, okay, you're going to be stronger than them. You're going to be able to do this. This is forbidden. Don't go back in time. Don't do this. This, that. Like, and he goes through the whole history of humanity. Like, he knows. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, they really like pack so much of like storytelling and character building and like this. And then when he finally goes to the Fortress of Solitude and talks to his dad, that like all that stuff is so powerful and just great storytelling. Like, if you love Superman and you wanted to really get you're like that, they understand the character, they understand Kryptonians and all that whole thing. It's great. It's just so good. And the rest of the movie's great too. But I mean, that for me is like when they get to finally Clark gets to the Daily Planet, it becomes more of a conventional film, right? But that interview with Lois Lane is great. That back and forth.
I always remembered, like, in the Smallville part, when he's running with the train and the girl sees him and then he hops across. I just always, as a kid, I was like, that's fucking amazing. It's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's just so well done. And the filmmaking is just
earnest and, like, sincere.
Yeah.
But it's also Christopher Reeve, right? Like, what a perfectly cast guy.
Well, he's not even in the first part of the movie, which I like. He's not even in it. So it's like Christopher Reeve is great. His greatest part in that movie is that he fills out that suit and he's great at transforming himself from Clark to Superman. And he's great in that scene with Lois Lane where they do the interview. That was he did a great job.
It's Richard Donner, right? There's I want to see his uncut, the Donner cut. But the fact they got Brando for that is also still crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if you haven't watched it in a while, you should give it a spin. And like, it's boring. Like, I mean, as far as it moves very slowly, it's because it's at that pace in the 1970s.
Right.
It's like, that's just how movies were made.
Yeah.
It's
like, very 70s.
People had a longer attention span. Yeah. You set the atmosphere. People were like, okay, this is what we're doing.
I love it as a time capsule too. Like, people are smoking inside and you see those old ass phone booths and shit.
Yeah, you remember like the Deer Hunter, everything moved at a snail's pace.
Like this.
Same thing. It's like, yeah. So you have to go in knowing that, but I just think it's such a classic film and it's such a great, I mean, even Luthor was well thought out. Like the fact that he was in this like abandoned subway and it was like a mansion though. Like every once in a while you catch yourself going, oh, that's a big mansion. I'm like, oh no, it's a fucking subway station.
That's awesome.
And, there's so many great things to that film. It's so great. If you haven't seen it in a while, I would put it in. It's worth watching. So
it's an all timer, man.
Absolutely.
Anthony, you seen anything fun?
Oh no, that was about it.
Okay. All right, then we're good here. Good to go. Ruggs, where can the listener find you online?
You could find me on Twitter at ReallyRugBoy. Come by, follow, please.
You can find links to everything, listener, at our website in the show description for this show, jockandnerd.com. Go there, click it. But the most important thing to do, share the show, send it to a buddy, a geek friend, send it to someone who also enjoyed the Ant-Man as the mediocre film that it is. We'd appreciate it. Thanks for listening to the Jock and Nerd podcast. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
And he's the Nerd.
We'll peep you next time.
That's a big fuck up right there.
This is crazy.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, me too.
Jock and Nerd.
You're still here? You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go home. It's over. Get out of here. Go home. All right? Leave. I'm calling the cops. Get out of here. Get out. The ending of Ferris Bueller wasn't that long a thing, but go. Get the fuck out. He didn't say that either, but that's me ad-libbing. Okay? Just go, 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 go.